There's not that many universities that have research vessels.
This is the most unique class I've ever taken.
It's a lot more exciting and kind of interesting because you actually get to work on something with a real application.
This class is actually amazing. It's more focused on me and what I think, my ideas.
I've taken a previous course in ocean science, and just in general, I think that it's a very fascinating field and wanted to learn more about it.
You know, what I love about oceanography is the chance to go to sea and do research. I've always wanted to have the chance to develop a class that's experiential, that gives students the opportunity to learn hands-on. I'm super excited that we can partner with the Inner Space Center to invite K-12 educators and classrooms on board through telepresence.
Hopefully spark that inspirational light bulb moment in someone.
Just very exciting stuff. I expect to create lifelong memories is the simplest way to put it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Endeavor Live. My name is Holly Morin, and I am the manager, of education outreach at the Inner Space Center at the University of Rhode Island's Graduate School of Oceanography. And I'm so excited to be your host today as the IAC kicks off another series of Endeavor Live broadcasts. Soon we'll be connecting live to the ship, which if we bring up the feed, you can see here, they are actually transiting offshore now. We're going to connect to that ship and dive into some different ocean science and technology topics and hear about the at-sea experiences and plans for the scientists, educators, technicians, URI undergrads, and other individuals that are currently sailing on board. The goal here, though, is to keep things super conversational. So your input and your questions are really important to the success of today's program. And so you can ask your questions at any time. What you can do there is you can use the comment box if you're watching on Facebook, or you can use the chat box in YouTube, and we'll get to as many of your questions as possible today. But let's give it a roll. Let's get you guys all warmed up. So why don't you go ahead and let us know. Type in, where are you tuning in from today? You can type your city, your state, your town in that comment box. Let us know where you are watching from. So while you're all doing that, let's talk really quickly about how we are connecting with you. And we're going to connect to the ship. And we're using something called telepresence. And this is a remote connectivity that, hey, we've all gotten really good at it these last couple of years. But the ISC is really pushing the boundaries of telepresence beyond a Zoom call or a Google Meet. We're connecting individuals on shore to ships that are doing active oceanographic research and deep sea exploration. We're streaming video and data in real time, bringing all of you on board. We're creating highly produced video pieces in this way. And now we're actually looking to potentially connect, live stream a lot more data, and then connect in a way that might let individuals on shore maybe navigate a remotely operated vehicle or operate the manipulator arm, all while they are at shore. Some really great and exciting things. So let's see, anybody here? Do we get any? It looks like we might have some comments here where folks are tuning from. Thank you, Jane Miner, tuning in from the Bay campus. Appreciate it. Oh, Miss Alex's class, fantastic. Tuning in from Central Falls. We'll be bringing Miss Alex on with us here shortly. This is great. So keep these coming in. Let us know where everyone is tuning in from. Hi there. Oh, hi, Diana. This is from Monsignor Clark. She's over there in South Kingstown. So glad that we have you guys here again. This is great. So keep these rolling. And again, I'm glad that you guys are having this commentary with me now, and we'll keep bringing in those questions and other comments throughout the program for sure. All righty. So even with all these different technologies, even with telepresence, ships are still super important. They are the platforms that are going to get our scientists and engineers out to sea to conduct their research. So the research vessel, our Endeavor, is URI GSO's. It's about 185-foot long research vessel, and she spends approximately 200 days at sea. So over half the calendar year, she's taking scientists, graduate students, undergraduate students, teachers, all out to do research. And since we've received her, since GSO has had her since about 1976, She's carried thousands of these individuals on more than 650 cruises and has traversed more than 1 million nautical miles in support of science. The ship is operated throughout the Atlantic Ocean into the Mediterranean, from Brazil to Africa and the South Atlantic, and the Endeavour is also operated in the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, even in the Pacific, all the way out to as far as Easter Island and Hawaii. So really global reach of ocean science that the Endeavour has completed, which is fantastic. So she carries a crew of 12 and can accommodate up to 18 scientists and technicians. Right now, she's carrying a suite of scientists and students and technicians on board. So she's got 5 undergraduate students as well that are part of Dr. Melissa Omen's CSI Oceans URI Honors course. This is a class that explores ocean science and technology and other topics, but is really unique in that it has an expedition requirement associated with it. So we're going to connect live to the ship now. Let's bring on Dr. Omen so she can say hello. There's that ship transiting again. She'll let us know maybe where the ship is going and some of the activities that are that'll be happening. So Dr. Omen, say hello. Let us know what you guys are up to.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Holly. I'm the chief scientist on the boat and the instructor for the CSI Oceans class. Right now, based on how it feels on the boat, I think we've left Narragansett Bay. It's gotten a lot bumpier, and we are heading offshore. We're going to transit a few hundred miles offshore to the edge of the shelf break. This is the region of the ocean where the shelf transitions from being fairly shallow and gradually sloping to a steep drop off where it drops to about 4,000 and more meters. So once we get out to really deep water, we're going to be releasing a subsurface mooring that's going to rise up to the surface. It's got a whole chain of different instruments on it, and we're going to bring that all back on board. And then we're going to be putting it all back out again with some extra stuff.
Yeah, and that mooring itself, could you talk a little bit more about it? Because it's not just that. I think when you're bringing it on board, how much and how many different things are actually on this vertical mooring? That'd be really interesting if you could talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. A lot of you guys might be thinking of like a big surface buoy with lots of instruments that's just tethered to the seafloor. But in this case, our mooring actually is completely subsurface. So the very top part of it actually is at 600 meters depth. It's a very large 64-inch sphere that contains a bioacoustic instrument that's looking at zooplankton and vertical migration and fish. And then below that, there's a sediment trap. That's that conical instrument that's collecting marine snow. And then we're going to be adding an underwater vision profiler, basically a camera that's able to capture images of all of the different critters that are living in the mesopelagic. I should mention that this is all part of the Ocean Twilight Zone program. And so we're really curious about the animals that live in the deep parts of the ocean that do migrations every day up to the surface. At the bottom, there's some flotation balls, and then there's our release and our anchor.
Up on board the vessel. You're gonna pull that all up on board the vessel tomorrow, service all of the equipment, download the data, and then put it all back out. And then
that's right.
And then are you actually, if I remember correctly, as part of the project and the students that are working on the topic of plastics, you actually have biodegradable discs that you're going to be deploying on that mooring line as well?
Yeah, so we're adding a few things. My students, the team of students that are on board this leg of the cruise are interested in the ocean plastics problem. They've been studying this and exploring options. And so we're actually going to be adding some biodegradable plastic that's made by microbes and therefore more easily broken down by microbes called PHB. And we're really excited about this material, and we're going to be leaving those discs out for about 6 months until the mooring gets recovered in the summer, and we'll be able to analyze those discs and see how much degradation has happened at the different depths and with the different treatments.
Great. So remind everybody as Dr. Omen and I are chatting, keep those questions coming about the different things that she's talking about, but you also just talk about life on the ship or ask questions about what they did last night or what they were doing to prep before they left Senesco, the shipyard this morning. So definitely keep those questions coming. So one last question for you, Dr. Omen. You also, another tool you're gonna be using are minions. What are minions besides really cute little monsters from a movie?
Yeah, maybe you can tell I have young kids. I've been inspired. This is a type of robot that I developed in my lab. I have one here actually, so it's pretty small on the spectrum of ocean robots. And these minions are, we drop them over the side. So they're actually we carefully know their weight and we add the right amount of extra so that they actually sink down, but not all the way to the bottom. And so when they start drifting at a neutral density, they collect particles on that imaging surface right there and take photographs of them. That white ring is a light so that even in the ocean twilight zone, you can still see what you're taking pictures of. And then at the end of the mission, which for us, it's just going to be overnight. So in the morning, we're going to have the minion pop up to the surface, and it has a GPS antenna and a strobe light that allows it to transmit its position. And hopefully we're going to be able to find it and pick it up again, download all the data.
Awesome. So exciting. I love all of this different technology and how it's all being used in concert to explore different aspects of the ocean. We are getting some questions, which I appreciate so very much. So the first question here, we might have missed it. How long is this cruise and how many days or nights will folks be out on the boat? Do you want to tackle that one there, Melissa?
Yeah, sure. This is a 6-day cruise, so we'll be out for 5 nights, and we're actually breaking it up into 2 legs. So the first leg, we have the plastics team on board with us as students, and we're going to be servicing the mooring, coming back to shore, trading some people, and then going back out and doing a sort of short research study on the propagation of sound on the shelf.
Great. And actually, where you mentioned that where we've got 2 different groups and 2 different legs. So let's go ahead and bring some of those other people. I always like, who are the people in your neighborhood, right? So who are the people on the Endeavor? So we can bring up some of our other guests here to join the broadcast. So we have Miss Kim Alex, who is a Central Falls Elementary School teacher who's sailing on board. And then one of Dr. Omen's undergraduate students who's sailing, so F.A. Anderson. Why don't you all say hello and introduce yourself to our public audiences here?
Hi, folks. My name is Kim Alex. I'm a 3rd grade teacher in Central Falls, Rhode Island. And I love my students, and I'm so excited that they get to take part in this.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm F.A. I'm a sophomore at URI, and I'm currently majoring in health studies. And I'm really glad that I could talk to you today.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I think that this is fantastic that we have such a diverse group right now that's kind of engaged in this broadcast, and keep those questions coming. I actually have a question first, though, for Miss Alex. So you are actually one of the teachers who is engaged in helping your students help build the mini boat inspiration out of Central Falls in collaboration with GSO. And a mini boat, for those of you that may not know, is not a teeny tiny like bathtub toy. It is actually an uncovered vessel, maybe about 4 to 5 feet. Like I'm looking at my kitchen table right now, and I'm like, yeah, it would fit on here. And you can see it there. There's the mini boat inspiration, and it gets deployed and it drifts on the surface, being moved by the wind or by the currents. And it has a suite of sensors that are on board, and you can actually track the mini boats. So they actually launched one out of Central Falls. It was also built by the students there. That is the Square Mile, and they've been tracking that for several months now. And you can see it here being deployed off of the Endeavor as well. And it's done several loop-de-loops out in the Atlantic, and it looks like it's actually going to be heading close to the Azores, which is really exciting. So, Ms. Alex, how has this experience been for you, though, with the mini boat and building it and then getting to see it? It's going to actually, inspiration will be launched off the ship tomorrow.
It has been so exciting. It's been wonderful. Andrea Gingras and Peter Hanlon were fabulous to work with, and they thoroughly invited my students to come in and take part in all of this. My kids got to do experiments with graduate students. They got to help decorate and paint the boat. They learned all about the boat parts. We showed some videos of sailboats and the parts so they'd understand what they were doing before they got involved. And we are super excited to be able to track this and see where it ends up. And each of them got to write a meet the crew paper so they could explain a little bit about themselves. And those things are inside the boat, as well as little postcards that they had made that have a picture of their favorite place and why it's their favorite place. So, and they got to design tiles that were attached to the boat as well, and to help design the sail.
Fantastic. And any predictions? Did the students make predictions as to where they thought the mini boat might go? Or where do you think the mini boat's going to go?
I don't know, because I know the one that got released in October has done a few loop-de-loops. But my kids made some fabulous predictions, and we have all of those charted on a map that they worked on with Peter Hanlon with their name and their prediction about where they think the boat is going to end up. I think a few of them are hoping that it's going to, make it all the way across the Atlantic. So we'll see.
Excellent. And then FA, to bring you into our conversation here. So you're going to be involved in all of these different activities. You'll get to see the mini boat get launched as well. What are your expectations? What are you excited about for this cruise? I know the mini boat's exciting, right? Anything else that you might be excited about?
I'm actually excited about how we're going to put the plastic into the ocean. I know this sounds crazy, but we're actually trying to find out how long it takes to biodegrade into the ocean so that we make a product to actually help the ocean rather than harm the ocean. So I think that's the most interesting part of the cruise that I'm waiting on.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. And then what about your first night? So you all slept on board last night. How was sleeping on board? What's the food like?
The food is amazing. I had to send a picture to my sister because I love the omelet I ate this morning.
Yeah.
And yesterday was
good.
Something that I wasn't expecting. So it was good. The chef is super nice here. My night here yesterday was a little uncomfortable because I'm not used to sleeping from home. But the bed is nice. I'm a little too tall for the bed, but it's manageable. So I like it here so far.
Great.
The food is absolutely fabulous. The bed was interesting. I'm in a top bunk, and I probably look like a comedy routine trying to get in and out of my bunk. But I did manage it, thankfully. And listening to the rain helped to put us to sleep. So that was nice.
That's excellent. Miss Alex, I think every time you get out of your top bunk, you should do one of those like Olympic, I did it, and you're done. There you go.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're getting some questions, which is great. Keep those questions, type them into the Facebook chat or the YouTube chat there. So another question, and Dr. Omen, maybe you can chat to this one. How many total people are on board? So I know that depends, you get the 12 crew, but it'll be dependent on the science party, but I know it's a diverse group there. And what are their different jobs? So some of the people that are on board, what are they doing during this cruise?
Yeah, we have 12 crew and 12 science party on board. The crew are mainly focused on making sure everything is safe, everything goes well with the operations of the ship. And then there are 2 technicians that are helping us that really know the scientific instruments on board. And then we have the rest of our science party. You can see my grad student Matt waving back there. And so this includes the grad students, the engineers, and the students that are helping do the science.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a great crew that you have on board, and I think it's also neat that where the cruise is split into two legs, you kind of have that people swap, and then different individuals that are coming on board to do different things on that second leg. And
Absolutely.
then, yeah, and then could you speak a little bit more, maybe, Dr. Omen, about the Ocean Twilight Zone and these different tools that are being deployed to explore? Is all that data going to be collected together? Are they talking to each other? How does that work? And why is it important to collect all this different data?
Yeah, the Ocean Twilight Zone, to first give you guys an idea of what that is, this is the region of the ocean that's below the top sunlit layer, roughly about 100 meters or so, where light is dim enough that there's no more photosynthesis happening, but there's still lots and lots of organisms that live and use that zone. So that goes from below the sunlit layer down to about 1,000 meters. And the animals that live in the ocean twilight zone, they've historically been a lot harder to quantify because because it's sort of above the bottom but below right at the surface, and we're just trying to, as scientists, we're trying to just come up with better quantifications of how much animal biomass is there. And, it's really important for us to study and understand this now because this large biomass could become a source of protein in the future, and we want to understand what the baseline is for that. It's also an environment that animals use to basically seek refuge from visual predators, and so every day there's a whole swath of different types of small organisms that will swim down into the twilight zone where it's dark, and that way they can avoid getting seen by their predators, and then they swim up to the surface at night in order to be able to feed on the phytoplankton that's growing in the surface. And so this process is called diel vertical migration. It's the largest animal migration on Earth.
Yeah, and that goes back to your minions, and that's kind of what they're mapping, correct?
The minions are taking photographs of the detritus that's sort of falling out from, the sort of byproducts of what the animals that are migrating and also the phytoplankton in the surface is producing. And so all of that marine snow, it's called, sinks out from the upper layers into the deep ocean. And it's an important part of the ocean carbon cycle and a source of carbon sequestration.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. I just think this is all so fascinating and exciting. So now that we have Ms. Alex and FA back, so what are you most excited for this cruise? I know that FA, you had said you were really excited for the plastics part and seeing how that works. When you first got on board the ship, though, any expectations, or what? I know in our last program, somebody also asked, what might you be nervous about? So is there anything you're super excited about or anything that you might be nervous about?
Nervous about, I think, is getting seasick, and I don't know how I'm going to react to it. So that's what I'm nervous about. But the fun part is I want to see how far we get and how long we stay on the ocean. I've not been on the ocean for a very long time. So I like to have the feeling, and it's kind of exciting for me because I don't get many chances to be on the ocean. Yeah. So I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah.
How about you, Ms. Alex? What are you most excited about? What might you be nervous about?
I am very, very excited about releasing the mini boat and the possibility of seeing any marine life. And same nervous as FA is the seasickness. So
yeah, it happens though. If it happens,
so far so good. I feel like I'm standing on a shakeboard right now, but doing okay.
Yeah, it looks like actually on the ship feed that was brought up. I can't tell if that's when it goes up. It looks like the clouds are starting to break. I'm actually in North Kingstown, so I'm right where you guys left port. And the sun is definitely trying to come out here. So hopefully you guys will have some
Yes.
blue skies and enjoy being out on the water. It really is beautiful when you're out at sea and you have those nice
Yes.
bluebird skies to look at for sure. So I know we're coming up on the half hour. So I'm just watching our time here, encouraging anybody, if you have questions still, definitely bring them in. But we do like to, usually at the end of our programs, we like to have some type of call to action or how individuals can stay connected to these cruise activities. So one thing is to definitely track the mini boat inspiration once it is launched. So it should be launched online. It's Educational Passages. I may have not mentioned that. And that's who manages the mini boats and has all the data. So you can go and track them online, and you can also continue to track the square mile. It'll be really interesting to see if inspiration follows a similar track or how it differs. And you can also look up all the other mini boats that have been released and see where those have gone as well. You may have seen in the news recently, there was a mini boat that was launched out of Rye, New Hampshire, that actually ended up in Norway. So maybe this mini boat will go into Scandinavia. We don't know. So that would be exciting. And if anyone has a prediction watching in Facebook or on YouTube, if you have a prediction as to where you think the mini boat inspiration might go, definitely let us know. We'd love to log those. We should keep a catalog for everybody's thinking. Dr. Omen, do you have an idea? Where do you think? You know where they're going to be on the shelf break? Any predictions where you think the mini boat might go?
It's kind of a toss-up because, the shelf break current tends to travel towards the south, but then the Gulf Stream is a little further offshore. It goes towards the north. So it's sort of a lot will depend on what happens to the mini boat over the first few days. That will probably just determine a lot about its fate. Does it go offshore? Then it'll get taken north and then across the Atlantic. And if it stays in the shelf break region, it may end up going south. That's my prediction.
All right, log that one. That's the prediction there. I don't know. I want to kind of say that I want it to go up to Norway. I want another one of those. I think that was so fascinating that mini boat ended up there, but that might just be my personal preference wanting it to go that way, not that the currents may take it that way. And then FA.
It'll have to ride the Gulf Stream.
All right, well then there you go. All right, mini boat inspiration. You got to ride the Gulf Stream. That's it. And then, all right, actually, we have another question here. Let's bring this one up because we have time. Nancy Gray and her students, so Mrs. A's class, would like to know, how do you find your way around in the ocean and not get lost? So we're talking about these mini boats, right, that are kind of rolling with the currents and the wind. Obviously, the Endeavor is not doing that. So how do you actually find your way?
Well, we leave a lot of that up to the captain. The ship has GPS on it, just like your phones do, and so we're able to track position where the ship is using the GPS. And so but really, as scientists, we're down below, we're on the back deck, and we're not worrying too much about where the ship goes. I just tell the captain where we need to head. I give him what's called a waypoint, a lat-long coordinates, and they get there. Great.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. You can do your job and the captain then does their job, right? Yeah. All righty. And then FA, you all, I think, for the Ocean Plastics Project, one thing that you were looking into was to avoid using single-use plastics, I believe. And then you were also looking to beach cleanups, correct?
Yes, we did. We did one a couple weeks ago, a couple days ago, at Scarborough Beach, and some things we found were actually interesting. We found a lot of water bottle caps on the beach, and a lot of strings and ties that we found. And we added some of that in the slow motion video that we made, and it was really interesting.
Yeah, I remember they had said, I think you guys found mittens and a lot of cloth, and I've done a beach cleanup before, and it's interesting what you found. We found a toaster oven one time on a beach cleanup, so you never quite know what you might. It was a really old toaster oven, but we found one, If you are all our audience that's out there, if a beach cleanup opportunity, is in your area, that's a great way to engage and help to reduce the amount of plastic that finds its way into the ocean. But we're up against the half hour now. It's 12:30, so I want to thank everybody who has taken the time to explore with us for this noontime, this lunchtime connection, this Endeavor Live program. Definitely continue to follow along the Inner Space Center with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for all of our cruise updates. We'll actually have another public-facing program tonight at 5, and then we have a 12 and a 5 tomorrow and a 12 and a 5 p.m. on Tuesday the 29th. So again, continue to please connect with us and find out what these fantastic individuals on board are up to. Otherwise, yes, thanks so much for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Omen. Thank you, F.A. and Ms. Alex, for being our guests. We wish you nothing but fair winds on this cruise and hopefully blue skies soon. Otherwise, again, thank you to everyone. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
Bye, Holly. Thanks, everyone.